Why the men who disappear get respected the most. You didn't sleep well. You already know what's waiting. The notifications, the noise, the pile of things that are somehow urgent and meaningless at the same time. And before you've said a single word, the day has already started without you. That's the trap most men never see. They let the morning happen to them. The Stoics had a different idea. They built their mornings like armor, quiet, deliberate, and by the time the chaos showed up, they were untouchable. Here are 7 habits they used. Not theory, not philosophy, for philosophy's sake. Habits that you can start tomorrow. Habit 1. Premeditate the obstacles. Before you get out of bed, before your feet hit the floor, spend 2 minutes thinking about what's going to go wrong today. Not to scare yourself, to prepare. Marcus Aurelius did this every morning. He'd sit with the day ahead and say, "Someone will be rude to me today. Something won't go as planned. The traffic will be bad. The meeting will drag. Someone will let me down." He wasn't being pessimistic. He was being ready. The person who braces for the hit doesn't stumble when it lands. When the difficult moment actually arrives, it's not a surprise. It's just something you already accounted for. 2 minutes before your alarm stops buzzing, that's all it takes. Habit 2. Guard the first hour. Here's something nobody tells you about checking your phone the second you wake up. You are handing the first thoughts of your day to strangers. Someone else's opinion, someone else's news, someone else's problem. Living in your head, rent-free, before you've even made coffee. The Stoics called the morning the hour of gold. It's when the mind is cleanest, sharpest, most yours. Protect it. 60 minutes. No phone, no news, no social media. Just silence or movement or thought that belongs to you. What you let in during the first hour sets the tone for everything after it. Control your attention in the morning, and you'll find you're more in control of everything else. Habit 3. Zoom out. Hierocles had this practice of pulling his perspective way, way back. Imagine you're standing on a hill, looking down at your city. Then, above the clouds, looking at the continent. Then at the planet. Then at nothing but stars. Now look at the thing that was bothering you this morning. Still that big. Most of the things we lose sleep over. The embarrassing thing we said. The email we haven't answered. The argument from last week. They don't survive the zoom out. The man who can see his life from 10,000 feet doesn't panic on the ground. Spend 2 minutes every morning taking that view. It's free, and it changes how you walk into the rest of your day. Habit 4. Start with discomfort. Cold shower. Simple. Not because cold showers are magic, but because the moment you step into that cold water and your body screams at you to step back, and you don't, you've already won something. You've proven, at 6 in the morning, before anything else has happened, that your mind is stronger than your instincts. The Stoics called this voluntary hardship. Comfort, over time, quietly eats your willpower. You start avoiding anything that feels difficult, and before you know it, you're making decisions based on what's comfortable, not what's right. A cold shower resets that every day. You don't do it for the health benefits. You do it because your body doesn't get to decide. You do. You didn't sleep well. Maybe it was something you said yesterday that you're still running back in your head. Maybe it's a meeting this morning you're not ready for. Maybe it's nothing specific, just that low-level hum of pressure that follows you into sleep and waits for you when you wake up. Whatever it was, here's what happens next. The alarm goes off. And before you've even opened your eyes fully, you reach for your phone. And right there, that moment, that's where most men lose their day. Not at work, not in the traffic, not in the meeting. Right there, in the first 30 seconds of being awake, when you hand your attention over to the notifications, the headlines, the messages, the noise. The day starts running without you, and you spend the rest of it chasing it. The Stoics were obsessed with the morning, not as a productivity hack, not as a hustle ritual, but because they understood something that most people in 2025 still haven't figured out. The morning isn't the beginning of your day. It's the construction of who you're going to be in it, what you do in the first hour, the first thoughts you let in, the first decisions you make, the first discomfort you either face or avoid. That determines how you respond to everything that follows. Men like Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, the most powerful man in the world at the time, still woke up every morning and deliberately built his mind before he built his day. He wasn't winging it. He had a practice, a sequence, habits that had nothing to do with efficiency and everything to do with character. That's what this is. 7 of those habits, why they work, and how to actually use them starting tomorrow morning. Before we get into it, if this is the kind of content you've been looking for, hit subscribe now. We put out 1 video a week, no filler, no noise, just ideas that actually change how you operate. Now let's build the morning. Here's the exercise. Before your feet hit the floor, before the coffee, before anything, you spend 2 minutes thinking about what's going to go wrong today. Not might go wrong, what will go wrong, because something will. Every single day, something breaks the plan. Someone is rude. Something takes longer than it should. A meeting turns into a mess. An email arrives that ruins your focus. The traffic is worse than expected. The person you were counting on lets you down. These aren't catastrophes, they're just Tuesday. But most people treat them as surprises. And surprises wreck composure. Marcus Aurelius kept a private journal, what we now call the Meditations. He never intended for anyone to read it. It was written entirely for himself, as a daily practice of preparation and self-correction. In it, he constantly reminded himself, people will be annoying today, things will go wrong, the world will not cooperate. He wasn't spiraling, he was rehearsing. He was building the mental reps so that when the frustration arrived, he had already decided how he would respond to it. That's the key insight. The Stoics weren't pessimists, they were strategists. When you visualize the obstacle before it arrives, you rob it of its power. It can't shake you because you've already felt it, quietly, in the stillness of the morning. When you had time and space to decide, this is how I'll respond. Think about what that actually looks like in practice. You wake up knowing you have a difficult conversation today. Instead of pushing it out of your mind and hoping it goes well, you sit with it for 2 minutes. You let yourself feel the discomfort of it. You think through the ways it might get tense, the things the other person might say, the moment where you might feel defensive, and you decide, in advance, when it goes sideways. And it might, I won't react. I'll breathe, I'll listen, I'll stay in the room. Then the conversation happens, and maybe it does go sideways, but you don't stumble, because you already stood on that ground this morning. You already know what to do. The person who braces for the hit doesn't stumble when it lands, they just absorb it and keep moving. This is also why Stoicism gets misread as cold or detached. It's not, it's the opposite. It's deeply engaged with reality, just reality as it actually is, not as we wish it were. Wishful thinking says, I hope today goes smoothly. Stoic thinking says, it probably won't, and here's what I'll do when it doesn't. One of those leaves you prepared, the other leaves you surprised. 2 minutes, tomorrow morning, before the alarm stops buzzing, before the phone, before the coffee sit, with what's actually coming. Name it, feel it a little, decide how you'll handle it. That's habit 1, and it costs you nothing except 2 minutes and a little honesty. Let's talk about what actually happens when you check your phone in the first 5 minutes of the morning. You open the notifications. There's an email from someone at work, something that needs a response, something that carries a mild weight of obligation. There's a news headline that's either infuriating or depressing, usually both. There's a message from someone you'll need to deal with later. There's a social media notification pulling you toward a small dopamine hit that disappears in seconds. And all of that, every single piece of it, now lives in your head. It's running in the background while you make coffee, while you get dressed, while you try to think. You're already managing other people's problems before you've had a single thought of your own. The Stoics had a name for the early morning, the hora aurea, the golden hour. They treated it as the most valuable hour of the day, not because of productivity, but because it was the only part of the day when the world hadn't gotten to you yet. Your mind at 6 a.m. is the cleanest version of your mind you're going to get all day. Most people immediately make it dirty. There's a real cost to this that most people never calculate. Every time you absorb external input, first thing in the morning, you are spending your clearest mental energy reacting instead of creating. You're burning your best fuel on other people's fires. And here's the thing, those fires will still be there in an hour. The email isn't going anywhere. The news will still have happened. The messages will wait. But your quiet mind, that window closes fast, noise fills it quickly, and once it's gone, it doesn't come back until tomorrow. What do you actually do with that hour? You don't have to meditate for 60 minutes or journal 10 pages. The practice is simpler than that. Just don't consume. Walk, sit with your coffee, and look out the window. Think about something you're working on. Write one page. Stretch. Move your body. Read something that requires actual thought. A book, not a feed. The content doesn't matter as much as the intention. This hour belongs to you, not to the world. The reason this is so hard is that checking your phone feels like staying connected. It feels responsible, even like you're on top of things. But staying connected to everyone else's agenda, first thing in the morning, means you never actually sit with your own. Men who operate with real authority, the kind that other people notice without being able to explain, almost universally have some version of this habit. Not because they read a self-help book, but because at some point they discovered, the days where I protect my morning are different from the days where I don't. Calmer, sharper, more like me. That's not a coincidence. That's the golden hour doing its work. 60 minutes, no phone, no news, no one else's problems, just silence or movement or thought that belongs to you. Take it back. It was always yours. There's an ancient Stoic practice that doesn't have a famous name, but it might be the most useful thing on this list. They called it the view from above. The idea is exactly what it sounds like. You pull your perspective out far enough that what felt enormous starts to look like what it actually is. Let me walk you through it. Start where you are, in your room, in your apartment, in your house. Picture it from above, like you're looking down from the ceiling. Then pull back further. You can see the building now, the street, the neighborhood, then the city from the height of a plane, then the country, then the continent, then the whole curve of the earth. Then you're in space and the whole planet is a blue marble surrounded by nothing. Now think about the thing that was keeping you up last night. The argument, the embarrassment, the project that might fail, the opinion someone has about you. Where is it now from up here? This isn't dismissing your problems. It's not toxic positivity. It's not your problems don't matter. It's perspective. And perspective is the difference between a man who gets rattled by every small thing and a man who can take a hit and stay standing. The Stoic philosopher Hierocles taught a version of this. He'd ask his students to imagine themselves as part of a series of expanding circles. Their family, their community, their city, humanity, the cosmos. The goal wasn't to feel small. It was to feel correctly sized. To understand that most of what we agonize over is local. It lives in a very small circle, and we keep treating it as if it's global. Think about the last thing that genuinely ruined your mood for a full day. An unfair criticism, a rejected idea, a conversation that went badly, something someone said that you couldn't let go of. Now ask yourself, where is that thing now? Does it still matter the same way? Probably not. Which means its power was never in the event, it was in how close you were standing to it. The zoom out is a way to get that distance while it's happening, instead of waiting months for it to arrive naturally. Marcus Aurelius used a similar practice. He'd often remind himself that the greatest emperors, the most celebrated warriors, the wisest men in history, they were all gone. Their empires, their victories, their crises, forgotten. Time swallowed everything, and if it swallowed them, it'll swallow this too. That sounds bleak. It's actually freeing, because if time eventually dissolves everything, then most of what we're treating as urgent is already, on a longer timescale, resolved. The crisis ends. The embarrassment fades. The failure becomes a footnote. The only question is whether you want to carry it like a boulder right now, or see it for what it actually is. 2 minutes every morning. Pull the view back. Let your problems find their actual size. Then walk into the day knowing exactly what's worth your energy and what isn't. Let's talk about the cold shower, because I know some of you just rolled your eyes. Bear with me, this isn't about the cold shower. The Stoics practiced something they called voluntary hardship. Deliberately choosing discomfort, not because suffering is good, but because the avoidance of discomfort is quietly devastating over time. Think about how comfort works. It's not dramatic. It doesn't announce itself. It just slowly shifts. Your defaults, the gym becomes optional when you're tired. The hard conversation gets pushed to next week. The project that requires real effort gets replaced by easier work that feels productive but isn't. And none of those individual choices feel like a big deal in the moment. They're just one easier option chosen once. But over months, over years, your comfort zone shrinks. The things that once felt manageable start to feel hard, and the version of you that was capable of doing difficult things starts to fade. Comfort is a slow leak. You don't notice it until the tire is flat. The cold shower, or whatever your version of voluntary morning hardship is a reset against that drift. Here's why it works. When you step into cold water, your body has one response: get out. It's not subtle, it's a scream. Every instinct you have says this is wrong, stop, go back, and you stay anyway. That act, that simple daily act of overriding a physical instinct with a decision, does something to your psychology. It proves, first thing in the morning, before anything else has happened, that your mind is the one running things, not your comfort, not your fear, not your instincts. Epictetus, who was born a slave and became one of the most respected philosophers in Rome, had a practice of periodically giving things up voluntarily. Fasting for a day, sleeping on the floor, walking in the cold without a cloak, not as punishment, but as practice. He wanted to know and to keep proving to himself that he was not dependent on comfort to function, that if everything was taken away, he'd still be okay. That internal certainty is what gave him his famous composure. He wasn't calm because life was easy. He was calm because he knew he could handle life being hard. You don't have to sleep on the floor, but the cold shower, or the early run when you don't feel like it, or the skipped dessert, or the difficult conversation you have, instead of avoid, these are the same exercise. They're all just practice in deciding that your mind leads and your comfort follows. And here's what you'll notice after a few weeks of this. The rest of the day gets easier, not because the day changes, but because you've already won something before it started. You've already proven you can do hard things, and that proof carries forward. The cold shower is 30 seconds of discomfort. What it builds lasts the rest of the day. There's a specific kind of anxiety that comes from caring about outcomes. You work on something, really work on it, and then you're at the mercy of whether it lands, whether someone approves it, whether the market responds, whether the conversation goes well, whether the thing you built actually works. That anxiety is real, and it makes sense. You care about the result. Of course you do, but the Stoics noticed something that took them years to articulate. The outcome was never fully yours to control in the first place. And building your mental stability on top of something that isn't fully in your control is like building the house on sand. It'll hold until it doesn't, and then the whole thing goes. If nothing prevents it. That was the clause the Stoics added to their intentions. Not I will do this, but I will do this. If nothing prevents it. It sounds like hedging, but it's actually a precise piece of mental engineering. It means I am fully committed to this effort, and I am simultaneously releasing any grip I have on the outcome. The effort is mine. The result is not, I can control one and not the other. I will pour everything into what I can control, and I will let go of what I can't. This is maybe the hardest Stoic habit to actually practice, because it runs against how we're wired. We want to control results. We want our effort to guarantee outcomes. And when it doesn't, when we work hard and the thing still fails, when we do everything right and the answer is still no, it feels like a betrayal. The Stoic response to that is not stop caring, it's something subtler. Care completely about the process. Care about doing the work with everything you have. Care about showing up fully prepared. Care about being the kind of person who gives real effort to real things. But hold the outcome loosely. Know that it was never entirely yours. Work hard, then open your hand. Don't strangle the outcome. It was never fully yours to hold. The practical morning version of this is simple. When you plan your day, add the mental clause. This meeting, I'll bring everything I have to it, and I'll let go of how they respond. This project, I'll do my best work on it, and I'll release the result. This relationship, I'll show up fully, and I'll accept that I can't control what comes back. You'll notice something interesting when you start doing this. The work actually gets better, because when you're not paralyzed by anxiety about the outcome, you're more present to the process. You make better decisions, you're more creative, you're calmer under pressure, and paradoxically, releasing the outcome tends to produce better outcomes. Not always, but more often than gripping it does. Remember that you're going to die, use it. This one makes people uncomfortable. That's fine, lean into it. Every morning, the Stoics would sit with one thought. I might not be here tomorrow. Not as a morbid spiral, not as existential dread, as a focusing lens. Because here's what happens when you actually let that thought land. When you don't immediately push it away as too dark or too heavy, the noise falls off. The petty resentment you were planning to carry into the day, it evaporates. The energy you were going to spend being annoyed by someone's comment, gone. The thing you've been procrastinating on because you didn't feel ready, suddenly you feel ready enough. Death is the great clarifier. It strips away everything that isn't essential and leaves only what actually matters. In ancient Rome, when a general returned from a military victory and rode through the streets in a triumphal parade, the greatest honor Rome could give, he had a slave standing behind him in the chariot. The slave's job was to whisper in the general's ear over and over, while the crowds cheered, Memento Mori. Remember that you will die, not to ruin the moment, but to keep the general grounded, to remind him that the triumph was real, but also temporary, that he was still mortal, that pride could become arrogance if unchecked. It was a feature of Roman culture, not a punishment, an acknowledgement that remembering death makes life sharper. The morning practice is 10 seconds. That's it. Just 10 seconds where you actually sit with the fact that this day is not guaranteed, that the people you love are not guaranteed, that this version of your life, this specific configuration of circumstances and relationships and opportunities is temporary. And then you ask yourself, given that, what am I doing today that actually matters? What am I doing today that I would regret not doing? What am I putting off that I keep telling myself I'll get to eventually?